Joining me to discuss the latest on the government funding battle is Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. He serves on several Senate committees, including the Finance Committee. He's also the vice chairman of the Senate Republican Conference. Senator Lankford, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tony.
All right, give us the latest. What is happening on Capitol Hill? Is the government they going to turn the lights off at midnight?
Yeah, so the lights won't go off, but the clock is definitely ticking at this point. Democrats are having to decide if they're going to leave the government open for the next 7 weeks while we negotiate, or if they want to try to close it down. Once they close it down, if they fight off literally the proposal that's sitting in front of them, the House has already passed, just maintain the status quo for the next 7 weeks while we negotiate. If they turn that down, then it becomes the challenge of how do they reopen the government? What is it that they can then vote and say, no, just kidding, I now want to open the government up? They did this under the first Trump administration. They demanded DACA citizenship for all of the DACA recipients. We were closed for a weekend, and then they came back and said, just kidding, we'll just go ahead and open it and leave it open. My concern is they're going to do the same kind of thing again, where they're going to demand some big thing, which they're doing right now, $1 trillion spending rollback, and to take away the one big beautiful bill and to wipe that away. That's what they're demanding. There's no way that's going to happen, obviously. And so now we're trying to be able to get to the end and say, just vote to keep the government open, straightforward, and let's keep negotiating.
Now, we know that coming up this week, Yom Kippur starts. So Congress is out the end of this weekend. House is not in. So if the Democrats do not go along with the clean CR that was passed by the House last week, Congress is not going to be back in until next week to deal with this.
Yeah, that's correct. So Yom Kippur, we're going to honor the Jewish holidays, obviously. And so that begins at sunset on Wednesday night, and we'll be closed down. And so that's the challenge that we have here, is that Democrats choose to be able to shut this down. We may be down for several days just with the Jewish holiday and all that's around that. So we don't know where it's going, nor do we know what they would say to be able to just come back and to be able to vote for the straight 7-week extension that we're already doing.
Now, you may see it differently, Senator, but you were in the House before going to the Senate, and the House often got rolled by the Senate, and the House Speaker, I talked to him about this over the weekend. I mean, he basically said, we did our work, we went home, and that's why he has not called the Republicans back into session this week, because he doesn't want to be forced into these false negotiations. The Democrats have what they have. Either they take it or they don't.
That's correct. But the crazy thing about this is there were 13 of these in the 4 years of the Biden administration where they were just short term. We're almost done with negotiations. We need just a few more weeks on it. This passed without an issue on this. There were always votes here in the Senate as well that gave plenty of votes to say, okay, we understand we're just going to keep open. We're going to keep negotiating. Now suddenly Democrats are determining they don't want to do that. This, I think, goes back to the March of this year when Chuck Schumer and about 10 Democrats voted to be able to keep the government open at that time. Their far left liberal base just went apoplectic on them and attacked them and said, you can't do anything with Trump. You shut the government down. You fight him at every time. Be the resistance.
Right.
But the problem is it just hurts the country. It doesn't hurt President Trump. It just hurts the country.
So one more question on that. I want to move on to another topic. Is this more about Democrats, in particular Chuck Schumer's personal politics in the state of New York, where he's vulnerable to his left? Is that really what's driving this?
This is all about Chuck Schumer's personal politics, all about it. Multiple Democrat senators that I've talked to have said, hey, we should just keep it open. We should keep it going, except for Chuck Schumer and his politics that he's in right now. So we're there. I get it for that. I mean, we've got the socialist that's leading the mayoral race in New York City right now. The New York politics have shifted hard to the far left. And Chuck Schumer's trying to be able to fight off the far left socialists in his own party on it. And we'll see where that goes.
Senator, I know you just have a couple minutes left. I want to get your thoughts on yesterday's meeting between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump and the agreement on this 20-point plan. You and I have been to Israel together. We share the same concern over Judea and Samaria. Your thoughts on the latest developments?
Yeah, it was interesting to be able to get this description where the president was saying, okay, there would be stop at hostilities, released all the hostages, but then he kind of turned towards having a Palestinian state at the end of it in the final part of that agreement and saying, hey, we don't want Israel to annex any of the West Bank. Well, that Judea and Samaria is historic Israel. Some of those areas are referred to as Area C. Israel already does all the security there, but we're talking towns like Jericho and where Shiloh is, the historic place for the tabernacle. This is biblical Israel here, and it's areas where Israel already provides security. And so what I'm trying to be able to communicate to everybody in the administration is, hey, let's allow Israel to be Israel and to be able to deal with its own boundaries and its own history and future here, and not try to be able to impose something on them as they're trying to be able to work towards long-term agreements. But long-term agreements are hard with the Palestinian Authority there. There is no lead negotiator for them, so they don't have anyone to even make an agreement with at this point that would count.
A minute left, I know you got to go. Can you really look at this region of the world without having a biblical, historical, and spiritual understanding in terms of managing peace?
Yeah, there's a lot of history in that region and a lot of things you've got to be able to look at, not just the last 10 years, the last 75 years. You look at the last thousands of years to be able to see the pattern and the path that's in that area. We also can impose a Western concept of what governance looks like over a Middle Eastern tribal community, clan, sheikhs, all of that concept, family-driven culture, very, very different in that region than it is in American culture. And at times there's an American implementation of what things will look like rather than an actual Middle Eastern mindset.
Right. It's that Western view that's been placed on them. Senator James Lankford, always great to see you and have you on the program. Thanks for taking time to join us.
Thanks, Tony. Good to see you again.